Okay, so today we are going to study about. Initially, we are going to study about the psychometric chart, and I will show you the software also how to do it. Just the basics. And before that, what is the psychometric chart is? Psychometric chart is nothing but in order to it is a science dealing with the physical laws of air water mixture. Okay, so we can say it in another name, like psychometric chart contains relation between properties of air. Okay, psychometric chart contains the relationship between the properties of air. Okay, and what are the different properties of air? Yesterday we have already gone through it: dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature, dew point temperature. Okay, relative humidity, specific humidity ratio. All these are the different properties of air, and there are n number of properties also. Okay, okay. So mm, yeah. So today we are initially we are studying about the psychometric chart, and the psychometric chart will be useful when we are doing heat load calculation also. Sometimes, as I told you, like uh, when we are considering heat load calculation, okay, the location is very important. The location is very important because the climatic condition of the different location is different. Okay, so when we are dealing with HAP, as I yesterday told you, like HAP itself will be producing locations. So just click that location. Automatically, all the properties of air, water, vapor, mixture, air properties will be given by the HAP itself. In some cases, for a specific location or a peculiar location, the HAP won't have that, that location. Okay. So in that case, sometimes we need to know the properties of air or properties of air, water, vapor mixture. We need to know the properties of it. Okay. So to some extent, this psychometric chart will be helpful in knowing the different properties of air. Okay. So you can just uh, you can just write day 2 if you are noting it down. You can just write day 2, okay, and write today's date also. Day 2 and today's date also. So we can go in a systematic way. Okay. So it will be helpful for you. And I will just show or I will share the screen. Psychometric chart. Okay. I think you can see this, right? Carrier psychometric chart. I think you can see the slide, right? Yeah. And psychometric is a science dealing with the physical laws of air water mixture. Okay. And psychometric chart contains a relation between properties of air. Okay. So just keep it in mind that this psychometric chart is a graphical representation to find out the properties of air, water, vapor mixture. That's all. Okay. Why we are using the psychometric chart is to know the properties of air. So that will be helpful in implementing in HAP also. Okay. In HAP we have to give what is the temperature, what is the dry bulb temperature, what is the wet bulb temperature of different locations. So in case if you need to know uh, the properties of air, water, vapor in a particular location, the psychometric chart will be helpful for you. Okay. Now, these are the properties of air that we have already dealt with. Okay, dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature, dew point temperature, relative humidity, specific humidity ratio. Yesterday we have gone through all these things. So just keep it in mind that these are the different properties of air. Okay. Now we have yesterday gone through what is the what do you mean by dry bulb temperature, what do you mean by wet bulb temperature. Okay. We have gone through these different types of thermometers, right? In wet bulb temperature thermometer, we have a big clock. Okay, so we have seen the measurement of psychometric conditions. uh, okay, we have two types of thermometers, okay, wet bulb and dry bulb thermometer, through which we'll be getting the values, dry bulb values as well as wet bulb temperature values. And we know what is dew point. Okay, I have already said that what is saturated temperature or a saturation point, 100% moisture. Okay, so it is the temperature of the air when it is fully saturated and the moisture condenses on a surface, that is known as dew point. Okay, so in air there is a limit to absorb water molecules. Okay, and the 100% limit, or if the water vapor or the air absorbs 100% water, that point is known as saturation point. Afterwards, what happens? There will be the moisture will be condensed on the surface. Okay, and we have seen what is relative humidity. Okay, then see, these are the different condensation of this at dew point. I think you have seen all these things, right? You mainly in early mornings we can see like this. Otherwise, we can say fog. You can see fog, right? And we have seen what is relative humidity. Today we have written all these, definitions. Okay, so this is the logo of this carrier psychometric chart. Okay, this is the logo, and I will take this software also today itself. Okay, so how to do is that, so initially there will be a start. So you can go to carrier psychometric, and you can open its software like this. Then you will be when you open that psychometric app or that software, initially you'll be getting like this. A window will be open like this. Okay, so what you have to give is that give continue. Okay, just give continue. When you give continue, you will be getting a window like this. Okay, and you can see on the top of this there will file will be there, edit will be there, analysis will be there, view will be there, register will be there. Different topics will be there, will be given on the ribbon. Okay, this portion is known as ribbon. Okay, so different topics will be given like this, and you can see a 3 small dot like this right here. You just click that. When you click that, you will be getting this. Okay, when you click this, you will be getting this window, and you can give add point. Okay, you have to click there, add point. When you give add point, you will be getting a window like this. So in order to get all other air, water, vapor, mixture properties, at least you have to give two inputs. You have to give two inputs. You need to know two inputs, and in which this dry bulb temperature is a must. This temperature you have to give it. Okay, here you can change. You can change wet bulb, or you can give relative humidity or enthalpy or whatever it might be. You can do it here. When you give this two values, you will be getting all other values. Okay, so dry bulb temperature means the normal temperature, our ambient temperature. Okay, so in psychometric chart, when you give add point, you will be getting this window in which you have to give any two values, in which dry bulb temperature is a must. You have to give this dry bulb temperature. This you can change. When you give a value, all other values will be automatically given by the psychometric chart. So you can note all these values. Okay, then you will be getting a point like somewhere like this. And what you have to do is that when you get this values, you have to give apply. There is an option on the top, apply. You just give apply, and automatically on the chart you will be getting this. You can see a red line or a red dot. Initially and all in school days, we used to have this chart. By the help of pen and pencil and scale, we have to note it down, all these things. Where is that point? Okay, then we have to, by the help of scale, and we have to see Where is that point? What is this dry bulb? Where is this wet bulb? Where is this dew point temperature? All these things we need to know manually. Now that manual thing is being changed by software. That's all. So here, when you give these 2 point, when you give these 2 values, all other value will be given by this. And when you give apply, this point will be given automatically on the psychometric chart. Okay, you will be getting a psychometric chart point like this. Then again, if you want to give another point, again you can go to the add point. Then you can change it. See, you can change it here. You can give a value here. You can change it here. Okay. The same method you can continue. And you can give point like this. And you can connect also. I will show you. You can connect like this. Okay. Again, you can add points. You can give heating, cooling. You can give name also. Okay. So you can give different points like this. Okay. You can give its airflow, all these things you can connect it. Okay. So you'll be getting like this: humidification, cooling, heating, dehumidification, like that. You can give points. Okay. And I will show you how to do it. Now, in my, can you see this? Can you see my cursor there? Yeah, that is the symbol of psychometric software. Okay, or psychometric chart. You can see a symbol here. Okay. Now I am going to click this, and we are going to see. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to open that. See, a new window is opened. Correct. Next, what I need to give, register or continue. I have to give continue, right? I'm going to give continue. So when I give continue, see, you can see here, I am moving my cursor, okay, on through this chart. Have you noted on the left side, you see this is all the properties of air. These are the properties of air. On the left side, you can see. When I touch, you see the values is been changing. When I move the cursor through the graph, see different values are changing, right? You can see it, correct? Now, what is this dB? It is dry bulb temperature in degree Fahrenheit. This is wet bulb temperature. This is relative humidity. These are the different properties, okay? Properties of air water vapor mixture. This is humidity ratio, grain per pounds, specific volume, enthalpy, dew point temperature, see, density, vapor pressure, absolute humidity, parts per million by volume. Okay, these are the coordinates. So all the properties like dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature, relative humidity, humidity ratio, specific volume, enthalpy, okay, dew point temperature, density, vapor pressure, all these properties you can get it directly. Okay, so how to get it? See, I have already shown you, right? So you can see a three columns here. Not 3 columns, 3 points. Okay, so you can see here file, edit, analysis, different things are given here. Okay, now what we need to do, go there and click it. Okay, so you will be getting a new window, and I will share you this also. Okay, I will give you this psychometric chart for you also, so you can practice it. Okay, I'll give you. And now when I clicked on that 3 points, I got a new window like this. Okay, so here there is a point known as add point. Okay, so what do you need to do? click on add point, and you can give a name. So it's an initial one. I just giving start simply. I can give start. Whatever name you can give it according to your wish. Okay, or a start or initial point or whatever way that you want, you can give it. Or whatever name that you want, you can give it. Cooling or heating or humidification. According to your need, you can give it. Now, I have given a name to that. Now, this dB means dry bulb temperature. Dry bulb temperature means our normal temperature, our surrounding temperature. Okay. So here in Kerala, you know, I think in our locality, the normal temperature is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So you have to give in Fahrenheit. Okay. So I am giving 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Just I am just showing an example only. Okay. Now I can give any other values. Wet bulb I can give, RH I can give. Okay. Enthalpy. Okay. Humidity ratio, whatever, dew point. Only these three. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any 6 I can choose. In this, any 6 I can choose. Okay. So what you need is that you need to know any 2 properties in which this dry bulb is a must. You have to give this dry bulb. Here you can opt it. So for example, I am taking RH. I am opting RH. I am giving a RH of 50%. Relatively 50. Okay. 50. See, when I give 50, I got all other values. See, airflow, relative humidity. See, if I'm giving 45, see, all these values is being changed. Okay, so I have given this value. Next, what I am going to do is that I am going to give apply. Okay, I need to apply and I need to see it in my chart. So let's see what happens. I am going to give apply. Okay, I have given apply. Now, see, you can see here. Is it possible? You can zoom it. Okay, see, this is the point start. I have given the name start, so automatically that start will be shown here also. Whatever name you are giving there, that name will be shown here. Okay, so you see, when I touch or when I click or when I point this cursor there, you can see the properties on the left side also. Correct. So putting correct on the center, you will be getting that RH 45, dry bulb 95, wet bulb 77, like that. You can see on the left side here. Okay, so you got that. Now I need to add some more point. So go there again, do the same step procedure. Add the second point. I'm just writing start. Whatever you want to write, you can write. I am writing end. Start end. Okay. Again, I need to give the point temperature. Dry bulb temperature, I am again giving 95. Wet bulb temperature or RH or whatever that you want, you can give it there. So here I am just giving wet bulb temperature as, for example, simply 75. Okay, just an example. Okay, it won't be correct. Okay, then I am giving, before apply, I can see there is label airflow. Okay, UOM and process given. If I need to link that board start and end with a line, what you have to do is that just click this add state point, and there is a point arrow shown downwards. Correct. So click there and you just give connect state points. So it will be connecting like this. And start point you can give start there, which is the starting point. You can give start there. Then you can connect it. Understood? You can connect it. Let's see what happened. And I'm going to give apply. Okay. Please enter a value for dry bulb. Please enter a value for water, invalid code. So here what I have to do is that initially before coming to this, $95, I have to connect that both, right? So dry bulb, wet bulb I have given I think 75 something, 75. Let's see. Okay. So giving apply. So you can see both it's connected. Correct. So it is both connected. Okay. So again you can give add point. You can just continue like that. Okay, you can just go to add point. You can continue like that. You can give another point, another point, another point. Again you can add, and again you can add. According to that, you can draw the chart, and you will be able to find the properties also. Okay. So this is just a basic thing. Just you need to know only this much: how to use the psychometric chart, how to take the different properties of it. So here, if you are touching, and you'll be getting different properties here. Okay. So just I'm explaining from initially. Go to this state. Okay. Click there. Go to add point and give a dry bulb temperature. Next, you can choose anyone from this slot and give its value. Then give apply. Then again go add point, give its value. If you want the process to connect it, you can just connect it. Okay. So from there or from directly you will be getting if you need to know the properties from here directly you will be getting the answer here itself. You can choose from here also. So you can take this value from here and you can give it in the HAP software if needed, if such situation comes. Mostly the such situation won't come. This is one of the method to find out the properties of air water vapor mixer. Just keep that in mind. That's all. Okay, these are the basic things that you need to know. And I will send you this psychometric chart software also. Okay. So you can, if you need, or sometimes in future, if some properties that you need to find it out, you can just go here and you can find it. Okay. Just understand and keep it in mind that from this software you will be able to find out different properties of air water vapor mixture. That's all. Okay. It's not very important, but still as an engineer you need to know this. Okay. So that's what I was explaining. So you'll be getting, so you can see here different points they have written here. Okay, they have connected this state. Okay, and you can see humidification, dehumidification, cooling, heating. You can give name like that. Okay. Now, today we are going to study about. Now we are going to enter into the core, topics. Okay. So the first one is like, what is a refrigerant? Okay, refrigeration. Okay, the thing is that the air condition has been worked by a cycle known as vapor compression cycle. A vapor compression cycle. Okay, so in a particular room, I need to cool this room. Okay, this cooling is being done by air conditioner, but you know it. What is the substance which helps to cool this air? That substance is known as refrigerant. Refrigerant. Okay, we'll call it as refrigerant. It's a refrigerant. It's a liquid thing. It's a fluid thing. Okay, this refrigerant is the substance which cools our air. Understood? This we'll be having an indoor unit as well as we'll be having an outdoor unit. I think in normal wall-mounted split AC, you have seen it. You'll be having an indoor unit here and you'll be having an outdoor unit outside. This indoor unit normally it is known as evaporator. Outdoor unit is condenser. Okay. Between this indoor unit and outdoor unit, this refrigerant will be flowing. Okay. So this refrigerant will be going or flowing through indoor as well as outdoor. It will circulating like this. So what is this refrigerant doing is that this refrigerant absorbs the heat from this air. Okay, and the property of this refrigerant is that it absorbs heat very fast and its phase changes. Normally it will be liquid, and this air heat is being absorbed by this refrigerant. Suddenly what happens? This will be changed into vapor because of the latent heat change in the phase. So the boiling point of this refrigerant is very low. So you know our air temperature might be 35 or 40 degrees Celsius maximum. In some cases it may go up to 50 also. With a less amount of heat, that heat is enough for this refrigerant to transfer into vapor. It doesn't need very high temperature. It needs only very low temperature to transfer or to transform it into vapor. That is a property of this refrigerant. So when you are looking this catalog of this air conditioner, you will be seeing the refrigerant also will be given. R410A, R22, okay, R407, okay, R11. These are the different brands of that refrigerant. Different mixtures is being combined to form this refrigerant. Okay, so some refrigerant will be eco-friendly, or some it will be harmful. Some ozone layer depletion all will happen. Okay, normally nowadays all are eco-friendly refrigerants. Okay, so now you need to keep it in mind that what is a refrigerant. Okay, it's a primary liquid or a primary cooling or a primary working fluid which absorbs and transmits heat in a refrigeration system. Okay, which absorbs and transmits heat. So I said that mainly four things are there, four equipments are there in an air conditioner. One is evaporator, next is condenser, next is compressor, the next one is expansion valve. These are the basic main four things which comes in refrigeration system. Okay, this evaporator thing is our indoor unit. Mainly there will be coils and there will be filters, and air will be coming inside and air will be going out. This hot air will be coming inside to the evaporator. It touches the cold coil through which the refrigerant will be flowing through that coil. This hot air will get in touch, in contact with each other. So heat exchange happens. Okay, so the hot air will be converted to cold air and it will be given back to our home. So that exchange is happening. Correct. Hot air is being converted to cold air when this hot air get contact with that cooling coil. So heat exchange happens. So because of that, we can call that part as heat exchanger. Understood? That evaporator part, we can call it as heat exchanger. Why? Because in that place, heat is being exchanging. Hot air is being converted to cold air when the hot air in the room get contact with the cooling coil. That cooling coil is very cold. How that cooling coil is very cold? Because of the cold refrigerant that is passing through it. So initially the property of that refrigerant should be low temperature, low pressure. So when this hot air get in contact with that cooling coil, what happens? The heat is transferred to that refrigerant. The heat from our room or the heat from our room air is being transferred, given to the refrigerant, cold refrigerant. So what happens suddenly? The cold refrigerant will be converted to a warm refrigerant. Not only that, a phase also will be changed. Initially it was very cold and it was a liquid. Suddenly what happens? It will be converted to a warm or a hot vapor refrigerant. The next thing is that this refrigerant is again going to compressor. Okay, so it is a vapor thing. The temperature is increased, but pressure is very low. Okay, initially the refrigerant was low pressure, low temperature. When the air or the hot air in the room gets contact with this refrigerant is converted to hot refrigerant. But the pressure, no change, low pressure itself. When this hot gaseous refrigerant is passed through the compressor, what happens? The pressure is increased. So what is the condition of the refrigerant right now? High temperature, high pressure. Okay. Why we are using this compressor? We need a circulation, right? The refrigerant is gas. That's why we need compressor. If it was water, we need a pump. In the case of a chiller, the refrigerant is chilled water. Okay. Chiller is the outdoor unit. Okay. So chiller will be kept in some location. So this refrigerant in the chiller is chilled water. That chilled water is being supplied from one area to the indoor unit through pump, water pump or chilled water pump. Okay, because that water should be traveled. Okay, that is being done by the help of a pump. Here we are not using pump. Why? Because the refrigerant is gas. So instead of pump, we are using compressor. If it was water, we could have used pump. The working of a pump is done by compressor here because the refrigerant is being converted to gas. So after the compressor, what happens is that the refrigerant is very hot. Not only that, the refrigerant is in high pressure. Now, after the compressor, it goes to the outdoor unit. This compressor and outdoor unit will be kept in the same way, okay? And what is the help of this condenser or the outdoor unit is that this hot refrigerant should be again converted to cold refrigerant. So I think, have you noticed the outdoor unit of an air conditioner? There will be a fan. When you keep your hand over there, the hot air will be passing through that. Have you noticed that outdoor unit of an air conditioner? And you can see a fan also. Fan will be rotating like this. When you touch it, a hot air will be, you could feel a hot air. What happens is that there is also a heat is been exchanged. That is an air cooled condenser. That's why we are using fan. Okay, this hot refrigerant and in in the condenser also or outdoor unit also there will be some coils like this. And through that coil, it is not cold refrigerant, it is hot refrigerant. Gas refrigerant is being flowed. So what happens when we are giving this cooling by the help of fan? The hot refrigerant or the hot refrigerant will be converted to cold refrigerant because a heat exchange is happening there also. You understood what I'm saying? So in that condenser, the hot refrigerant will be converted to cold refrigerant. The temperature will be coming down. Not only that, it will be converted to liquid. But what about the pressure? Still the pressure is high. We have to bring back to the initial condition. Low temperature, low pressure. When it is reached in the outdoor unit now, or when it reached in the condenser, now what about the refrigerant? The refrigerant is converted to low temperature. But still it is in high pressure. Again, one more thing we have to do. This high pressure should be brought down to low pressure. That is being done by expansion valve. Understood what I'm saying? So this this high pressure, low temperature refrigerant when passes through the expansion valve will be converted to low pressure, low temperature, liquid refrigerant. It will be coming to the initial stage. So this circulation is being carried out like that. This cycle is known as vapor compression cycle. Okay, so this vapor compression cycle is being carried out in HVAC. And the refrigerant is the primary working fluid which absorbs and transmits heat. This is just an exchange of heat. Okay, that's all. Okay, this hot air is being converted to cold air, and this hot refrigerant is converted to cold refrigerant. So two cycles are there. This room that touches with the indoor unit. Hot air converted to cold air. Hot air converted to cold air. Cold air is coming, hot air is going. Hot air is coming, hot air is going. So one circulation. Another one circulation between indoor unit and outdoor unit. Cold refrigerant, hot refrigerant. Cold refrigerant, hot refrigerant. Cold refrigerant, hot refrigerant. So two cycles like this. So you can understand what I'm saying, right? Now, I will show you my notes, or let me see. I'll just show you my notes, okay? So that will be helpful. Or before that, you write refrigeration cycle. What is a refrigeration cycle? Write a heading, refrigeration cycle. Refrigeration cycle. Okay. And write what is a refrigerant. What is a refrigerant? So I am giving small notes for you so that you can understand in future also. Okay. Simple thing only. So when you are writing this, it will be very helpful for you also. That's why I'm giving notes. Even though you have recorded video, but still, you know, if you have a note, that will be very good for you. Okay. So what is a refrigerant? A refrigerant is a primary working fluid. A refrigerant is a primary working fluid used for absorbing and transmitting heat. Used for absorbing and transmitting heat in a refrigeration system. Used for absorbing and transmitting heat in a refrigeration system. So when you're writing that, can you understand what you're writing now? See, the refrigerant is a primary working fluid used for absorbing as well as transmitting. Where it is absorbing? It is absorbing in the evaporator side, indoor side. because the hot air is being absorbed or the hot gas is being absorbed. And where it is transmitting? Transmitting in the outdoor unit. Okay, it is ejecting out. The hot air has been ejecting out. The hot air has been absorbing from our room and it has been ejecting out and it has been exhausting to the outside. So it's a primary working fluid which absorbs and transmits. Okay. Now, we have basically two types of refrigerants. Refrigerant types are there. Okay. One is primary refrigerant and another one is secondary refrigerant. Okay. This primary refrigerant means there will be change in the phase. We can see initially it was liquid. That liquid is being converted to vapor. So that is the primary working. The secondary refrigerant is the change in temperature. Okay. So there are what do you mean by that? Is change in temperature is like the outdoor unit. Okay. The outdoor unit is known as condenser. Maybe it is known as condenser. So there are two types. It can be air cooled and it can be water cooled also. If it is an air cooled, you can see a fan. If it's a water cooled, it will be normally a shell and tube type. Through inside, sometimes water will be going, through outside air will be going. So there will be a heat exchange. Okay. So mainly in that condition, the temperature is being changed. The temperature of the fluid. If it's a water cooled, the temperature of the water will be changed. That's all. Air also, the temperature of the air will be changed. Initially cold air will be coming and hot air will be going back. That is the secondary, refrigerant. So the primary refrigerant is the initial refrigerant that is going in between or circulating through the indoor unit and outdoor unit. The secondary refrigerant can be air or water, whatever it may be. Or even though it can be a refrigerant also, another refrigerant also. Okay. So types of refrigerant. First one is primary refrigerant. And just write a hyphen and write change of phase. Change of phase. So in primary refrigerant, mainly a change in phase is happening. Okay. And secondary refrigerant, change in temperature. Basically, a change in temperature is been happening there. Change in temperature is been happening there. Okay. Fine. Now, you guys, you all know about the ozone layer depletion, right? Ozone layer depletion, because there is a, there is a layer over the atmosphere, which, there will be depletion in the layer, ozone layer. So the ultraviolet rays can come to the earth. So it is harmful for us also. So why this ozone layer happens is because of the chlorine and bromine atoms only. Okay. Because of this chlorine and bromine atoms or the content, chlorine and bromine atom content, because of that only this ozone layer depletion happens. Why I'm saying this here is that initially there were in initial condition or in initial days, the refrigerant that we were using was CFC. That is chlorofluorocarbon. In that chlorofluorocarbon, in that word itself, there is chlorine atom. So that's what I said, that it will be harmful. Some is eco-friendly, some is very harmful. So nowadays the refrigerants are very eco-friendly refrigerants because the substance or the mixtures that used to make this refrigerant is eco-friendly. It won't make any harmful things because there is no chlorine and bromine atoms present in that way. So in initial condition or initial stages, the refrigerant that we were using was CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. In that, there was chlorine. There was the presence of chlorine. Okay. So there are different standards for chlorofluorocarbon like we'll be knowing in R11, R12, R113, R114, R115. These are the different ranges. It is a technical term of that, different refrigerant. So if you look the catalog also, you will be seeing that different. It will be mentioning what is the refrigerant that is being used in that particular air conditioner. Okay. So initially it was chlorofluorocarbon. So during the advanced stages, what happened is that some hydrocarbons was implemented in it. Okay. So, why we use hydrocarbons? To prevent the depletion of ozone layer. We inserted some hydrocarbons to it. So to reduce the intensity of it, to reduce the intensity of depleting the ozone layer. So we have given some hydrocarbons, allocated hydrocarbons into the refrigerant mixture. So after an updation, what happens? This chlorofluorocarbon is being changed to hydrochlorofluorocarbon because the hydrocarbons is being added to that. Why they have added this hydrofluorocarbon is to reduce its intensity of depleting the ozone layer. You can understand what I'm saying, right? But still, in hydrochlorofluorocarbon also, what is there? Chlorine is there. Chlorine atoms is present. So again, an updation came. Now they have totally taken this chlorine atom. They have eradicated that chlorine atom. Nowadays the refrigerant are hydrofluorocarbon. There is no chlorine. Hydrofluorocarbon. So in hydrochlorocarbon, it is R404A, R410, okay, R134A. Different brands are there for that also. So initially it was chlorofluorocarbon. Why? Because chlorine and bromine atoms are the main atoms which deplete the ozone layer. Okay. Now a hydrocarbon has been added again, so its intensity has been reduced, but still there is chlorine atom. Nowadays the chlorine atom is totally taken off. Now it is hydrofluorocarbon. Understood? So nowadays the refrigerants are hydrofluorocarbon refrigerants, which are eco-friendly. Someone asks you in some interview or something like that, so what type of refrigerants are being used, you can say its name, okay, R410 or 404. That are different mixtures. According to the mixtures, it will be changed. The proportion may change. Okay, that's right. So you can say that hydrofluorocarbon is being used nowadays. Okay. I think you can write that also. I think that will be helpful when you are looking. So just write ozone layer depletion. Heading ozone layer depletion. And you can write in your own words or whatever it might be. Ozone layer depletion happens because of chlorine and bromine atoms. Because of chlorine and bromine atoms. Chlorine and bromine atoms. As a second point, you can write uses allocated, ALOGATE, uses allocated hydrocarbons. Uses allocated hydrocarbons to prevent the depletion, of ozone layer. To prevent the depletion of ozone layer. And you can write the classification of refrigerant. Write a heading, classification of refrigerant. Initially it was CFC, correct? What's the full form of CFC? Chlorofluorocarbon. So right, chlorofluorocarbon. Initially it was chlorofluorocarbon. Okay. And write its example. R11, capital R, a hyphen 11. R11, R12, R12, R113, 130, R113, R114, R115. These all comes under CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. Afterwards, what happened? We have added hydrocarbons too. So this CFC came become HCFC, hydrochlorofluorocarbon. After an updation, second one HCFC, which means hydrochlorofluorocarbon. Hydrochlorofluorocarbon. The example of HCFC is R22. R22. 22. Then R123. 123. 123. R123. Afterwards, what happened? What is the next updation? Yeah, it is. The chlorine has been completely taken off. Now, the left one is HFC, hydrofluorocarbon. So the third one is HFC. HFC, hydrofluorocarbon. Hydrofluorocarbon. Example R134A. 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 R404A. R404A. R410A. R410A. 410A. R407C. R407C. Okay. So these are the different classification of refrigerants. Can someone think of what should be uh, uh, how a good refrigerant should be? What a good refrigerant in the sense, what are the different requirements of a refrigerant? Uh, Requirements in the sense, you know, these refrigerants are usually we are keeping indoor, right? It is been flowing through indoor. So what kind of quality should be there for a refrigerant? What are different benefits or what are different qualities should be there for this refrigerant? Anyone have any idea? What are the requirements of this? Uh, for example, I will say it should be non-toxic, correct? The refrigerant should be non-toxic. The same way, can you think about any other properties? What a refrigerant should have is, do it have some special characteristics? It should be non-toxic, or is there should be anything else? You can just uh, 1 second. We can, someone can give some chat also. I'll open the chat. Something comes to your mind, you can write. If it is wrong, also no problem. What are the other properties of a good refrigerant? Because mainly this refrigerant, yeah, phase change. Yeah, that is one of the properties. Correct. The phase has to be changed because with very less amount of heat, the phase is not changing. No, it won't work properly. Okay, that is one of the thing. Just I have said it should be that fluid only. The refrigerant is a fluid. So what under properties should that fluid should have? I said one thing. It should be non-toxic. Is there anything else like similar to that? Everyone can chat. Just think something low viscous. Okay, because it has to flow, right? Okay, low viscous. Okay. Anything else? See, that refrigerant is a liquid, right? So, yeah, very good. Low flammability. Okay, low flammability means like, yeah, non-flammable. Very good. Yeah, non-flammable. That is a good point. Others don't have any points. Low freezing point. Yeah, low freezing point. Eco-friendly. Yeah, eco-friendly. That's what I meant. Eco-friendly should be. It should be an eco-friendly. Less reactive. Very good. Less reactive. Less. With that much solubility in oil. Solubility in oil. Yeah. Why we need that solubility in oil here? Because whether it gets touched with any oil, I don't know. Yeah, it has to be soluble. Yeah. Is that high critical pressure, high vapor density, high dielectric strength? I think you have gone to some Google and I think you have texted me like that. High heat transfer vaporization. Okay, who is that? From track 7. Okay. Anyways, that's fine. So you have understood something, right? Now, just write it. First one, requirements of refrigerant. I think, have you written that heading? Requirements of refrigerant. Requirements of refrigerant. First one, non-toxic. Non-explosive. Non-explosive. We have, we do have n number of, requirements. Okay. Non-corrosive. It should be non-corrosive. Mainly this, it won't be corrosive because mainly the tube through which this refrigerant will be flowing is through copper tubes. Okay, copper tubes. It is very less corrosive material. Okay, copper tubes only, but still the refrigerant also should be non-corrosive, non-flammable, non-flammable, non-flammable. Another one important thing is that if there have some leaks, okay, it can have some leaks, right? Because it's a liquid. It should be easily able to detect it. If there is some leaks, it should be able to detect it. Okay. So write that makes leaks easy to detect. Makes leaks LEAKES. Makes leaks easy to detect. That is an important thing. Makes leaks easy to detect. Okay. Okay. Now, uh, just we can write this vapor compression cycle. This is very important. Okay, vapor compression cycle. And I will just show you I have drawn a small uh, flow chart. Okay, so you can just copy that and write the heading vapor compression cycle. There are different compression cycle. Vapor absorption cycle is also there that I will be taking in the coming classes. Now the basic cycle which where the air conditioning is being occurred is vapor compression cycle. Okay, so don't forget it, vapor compression cycle. Now, vapor compression cycle. Okay, so write the heading vapor compression cycle, and you can see this is evaporator. I think you can see, right? And afterwards, I will show a good picture also. Now, this is evaporator, condenser, compressor, and expansion valve. So this arrow shows the air which is going into the evaporator and cold air is coming back to the room. Understood? So here R denotes refrigerant, T denotes temperature, and P denotes pressure. So temperature is high. So initially this temperature is low and pressure is also low. When it comes to the evaporator, after the evaporator, what happens? The temperature becomes high, pressure becomes low. So this is a low pressure side. Next, it goes to the compressor. After compressor, it will be converted to high pressure, high temperature. Then it goes to the condenser. Condenser, it is low temperature, high pressure. Now this is a high pressure side. Then it comes to expansion valve, where again it will be converted to low pressure, low temperature refrigerant. So this you have to keep it in mind. If you need to by heart, you have to by heart it. This is very important. So you need to know what happens to the refrigerant in this different equipments. Okay. So in coming days, we'll be studying about heat pump and all. So we need to know about where this thing is happening. So you need to know vapor compression cycle. Okay. So you can just draw this. You can just draw this, and you have to write refrigerants, temperature, pressure, low pressure side, high pressure side. These are the four main components. evaporator side, the refrigerant will be flowing through this. Okay, this is the way. This is the rotation. Low pressure side, compressor will be converted to high pressure, high temperature. Then it goes to condenser. Air will be leaving from here. Hot air will be leaving from here. It's a high pressure side. That comes to the expansion valve. Now it comes to the initial stage, low pressure, low temperature refrigerant. So this cycle continues like this. When you finish writing this, just give a smiley, okay? I think it is possible to give a smiley. I think so. Just give a thumbs up or something like that. I think all others also have, I think they have finished it seems. I'll show you another picture of it. You can see this. You can see this, right? Yeah. So this is the vapor compression cycle. You can see it is been shown from the compressor, high temperature, high pressure vapor. Then it goes to the condenser. There happens a latent heat. Here also the phase is being changing. The vapor will be converted to liquid. Again, we go into the expansion valve. It's a high pressure side, medium temperature liquid, low pressure, low temperature liquid. Again, it goes to the evaporator side. This will be the indoor unit and this will be the outdoor unit. Okay. So again, it goes at a very cold refrigerant. Again, it will be converted to low temperature, low pressure vapor. Okay, it goes like that. Mainly it will be high temperature only, high temperature, low pressure vapor. Okay. So I think this is fine with you, right? If you have understood this. So don't forget this, okay? This is the basic thing in an HVAC system, vapor compression cycle. You need to know what and all equipments are there. Basically, you have compressor, condenser, evaporator and expansion valve, and you need to know what are the different process that happening in each section. Okay, so that you have to keep it in mind. So it's very important to get this base. You can understand this. First, everything you can cope up with this. Okay, so this is an important thing. Now, before that, and you can just write what are the components and why we need these things. The components of refrigeration cycle. Why we need this? What is this compressor and why we need this compressor? What is condenser? What is evaporator? What is this expansion valve? That also you need to understand. Okay. So write what different components of refrigeration cycle. This first one is compressor. We can note it down. It's a mechanical device that increases pressure of gas by reducing its volume. that is being done by the help of this compressor. And different types of compressors are the reciprocating scroll, helical, rotary, centrifugal compressors. And now recently, scroll type compressors are mainly used. Okay, the scroll type compressors are mainly used in the compressors. Okay. Mechanical device that increases pressure of gas by reducing its volume. Types are reciprocating scroll, helical, rotary, and centrifugal compressors. You can see this compressor, right? This is just the compressor. Can you see this compressor? Okay, these are compressor. Okay. If you want to see this compressor, normally also you can just go there's fridge, right? Fridge in your home. There is fridge, right? In the back side of the fridge also you could see the compressor. Okay. Have you finished this compressor side? Now, what is this condenser? Condenser is a heat exchanger that rejects heat from the refrigerant. Okay. Condenser is the outdoor unit. Okay. Outdoor unit. So condenser is the heat exchanger that rejects heat from the refrigerant to air, water, or some other fluid. Types are air cooled condensers are there, water cooled condensers are there, evaporating condensers are also there, which means the combination of these both. Okay, these are the types of condenser. Condensers are outdoor units. Okay. Now evaporator. Evaporator is also same thing, but it comes as an indoor unit. Evaporator is a heat exchanger that transfers heat from air, water, or some other fluid to a cold liquid refrigerant, which means that from the air it absorbs the heat and it gets transmitted to the refrigerant. Evaporator. This condenser and evaporator, this both are heat exchangers. Okay. Here the hot air has been absorbed by the refrigerant. Here the refrigerant is being ejecting the hot air to the atmosphere. So these both are basically a heat exchangers. I have yesterday said about the heat pump, right? In heat pump, this both will be interchanged. Okay, this working will be interchanged. This condenser will be become evaporator, and evaporator will become condenser. So if you are interchanging, usually in this condition, when you are touching the outside of this condenser, you will be getting hot air, right? And here evaporator, we are touching, we will be getting cold air, right? Normal condition. Through the evaporator, cold air is coming to the room. Through the condenser, hot air has been ejected outside. So when you are interchanging this both, what happens? The hot air will be coming to the room as well as the cold air will be going outside. So in heat pump, we can just interchange this function by uh, you know uh, by just interchanging the refrigerant flow, reversing the refrigerant flow. This condenser become evaporator and this evaporator will become condenser. So in the room, you will be getting the hot air, and outside the cold air will be ejected out. So that will be mainly in cold seasons. Okay, so that will be studying in coming classes, but just I have said. Okay, have you written this evaporator also? Evaporator is a heat exchanger that transfers heat from air, water, or some other fluid to a cooled liquid refrigerant. Okay, write this also. What are the types of evaporator? Finned tube evaporator and shell and tube type. Okay, evaporator. The main types of evaporators are finned tube evaporator and shell and tube type evaporator. What do you mean by this fins? Have you seen fins? Have anyone have any idea about fins? Have you seen the radiators? Radiators, bus radiators, or for example, in your bike also, on the side there are tubes are there, and through that tubes there are small thin sheets which is been rotated, which is fixed. Or if you see in this, uh, when you open your car or when you see the grill of this car, you can see the radiators also. Small thin sheets will be parallelly will be flowing through that or fixed on some tubes. That is known as fins. Why we need this fins is because of this fins, heat can be transmitted easily because air has been flowing through that, and the heat can be transmitted very fast through these fins. So if you are seeing radiators, the radiators is being made up of fins only. Okay. Another one type is shell and tube type that you might be knowing. A shell will be there, inside there will be a tube. Inside that tube, refrigerant will be flowing, and outside air will be flowing. Or it can be vice versa also, shell and tube. Okay, through which heat is being exchanged or transmitted. Now finally comes the expansion valve. It is an expansion device used to maintain a pressure difference between high pressure condenser and low pressure evaporator sides of the system, established by the compressor. This is an expansion device used to maintain a pressure difference between the high pressure condenser and low pressure evaporator sides of the system established by the compressor. Okay. Yeah. Now we are going to study, or just we are going to discuss about the different types of air conditioners. Okay, different types of air conditioners. Now, basically we have two types: centralized AC and non-centralized AC. Okay, mainly we'll be using non-centralized AC only for residents and or apartments or something like that. But when it comes to a uh, big application, a large commercial or some applications like that, we may need to use centralized ACs, okay, centralized air conditioners. So mainly the centralized air conditioners, if it is more than 25 tons, usually it will be a centralized AC, and from there through the duct we'll be giving to the different parts or different rooms of a big commercial space. Okay, or normal condition we can give a non-centralized AC. Okay. Uh, Centralized AC, as I already said, when the ton or the capacity is very large, understood? So in those areas, we'll be giving centralized AC. Mainly, we'll be giving AHUs, air handling units. Okay. So we can customize also. We can customize also according to our need. Okay, according to our uh, pressure, static pressure, or according to our CFM or the air quantity that we need, we can customize it. We can customize even to 100 tons. Okay, it is available. We can customize air conditioners even up to 100 tons. Okay, sorry about that. Now, so just write a heading like types of AC, types of AC, or just write classification of AC. Classification. Mainly we have, it has been divided into two. Okay, centralized AC and non-centralized AC. Centralized AC and non-centralized AC. Okay, that are the basic two classifications of air conditioners. Okay, now I am going to just say about different types of AC. Okay, so as a HVAC engineer, you should be able to know what are the different types of ACs. Okay, according to different application, we have to choose. We have to choose what type of air conditioner that we can implement. Okay. Now, basically, in initial days and all, the first type of AC that we were used was window type AC, window AC. Okay, in window AC, it will be keeping that AC like a window. We'll be keeping there, and indoor and outdoor will be a same package. Okay, we'll be keeping on the wall. The outside of that window type AC is the condenser, and the indoor will be evaporator. That both will be a combined S package. It is not splitted like a splitted AC. It will be in a combination. Combination means that both are combined. Okay. That is known as window. First you write it, then I will show you what are the different types. Okay. Yeah. One is window. Window AC, which means it is not splitted, it is a combined one. Okay. Window AC. That type of AC we were using in initial times. Nowadays we are not using it. Nowadays we are using split type only. So next comes the split type AC. Split, SPLIT, split type AC or split AC. Now you have to keep it in mind that in split AC there are n number of air conditioners in split. Okay, so you can write wall mounted AC. Normally you have seen wall mounted. The AC is been mounted on the wall. So you'll be having an indoor unit and you will be having an outdoor unit. Okay, so under this split AC you can write as a point wall mounted air conditioner. Right, wall mounted. Now ceiling mounted is there. We can mount on the ceiling. CEILING. We can mount the air conditioner on ceiling also. CEI, ceiling mounted air conditioner. Now we can keep air conditioners on the floor also. There are air conditioners that we kept on floor. Okay. So mainly we'll be calling as floor air conditioner or floor standing air conditioners only will be say. This is also split only. Split in the sense you just keep it in mind that there will be an indoor unit and there will be an outdoor unit. This both are splitted. Okay. So first we have seen about the wall mounted, which is kept on the wall. Next one is ceiling. On the ceiling we can mount it. Okay, and the ceiling mounted. Next we can, there is another type of split AC that we can keep it on the floor itself. We can keep it on the floor. That is mainly we can call it as floor standing air conditioner or floor AC, whatever it might be. Next there is a cassetted type. Is there cassetted type that will be fixing on the ceiling. We can fix it on the ceiling. It is not a ceiling mounted. As we are fixing this bulb on the ceiling, or as we are fixing this diffuser or grill on the ceiling, the same way we can fix the AC on the ceiling. That is known as cassetted. CASSETTED, cassetted type AC. Cassetted type air conditioner. CASSETTED, cassetted type air conditioner, which is been mounted on the ceiling. Okay, which is mounted on the ceiling. Then we have, this all comes under split AC. Okay, what I'm saying, this all comes under split AC. Then we have ductable split AC. Ductable split. Mainly we'll be using ductable split only. In ductable split, there we are keeping this ductable split is inside the ceiling. Inside the false ceiling and the roof, there is a small space. Normally we'll be keeping there. And through the duct, the air will be flowing and we can give it to the individual rooms or individual spaces. Okay, that is known as ductable split. In ductable split, the air is being passed through duct. Okay, that is duct. That is also comes under split AC. Then comes now you leave split AC. Then comes the third point is packages. Package. Okay, mainly we'll be keeping this package on the rooftop. Some days we can call it as rooftop also. That's not an issue, but both are different. We can call it as packages. Package AC means it is not split. The outdoor as well as the indoor unit is in a same package. Okay, you can see big fans on the top of that also. If it is a uh, 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 air cooled condenser, okay, or air cooled outdoor unit, We can see fans also on the top of it. Okay? This in this package, according to the word implies itself, it is in a it's in a packaged indoor and outdoor in a package way. Mainly we'll be keeping in the rooftop. If you are keeping somewhere else also, it's not an issue. That is known as packaged AC. Then another type of a system is there. Okay, it's not an AC. We cannot classify in AC. It's another system. We call as VRF or VRV system. I think you have heard about VRF or VRV system. VRF units. Okay, it's known as variable refrigerant flow or variable refrigerant volume. Both are same. Okay, according to different brands, it gives a different name. That's all. Sometimes some brands will be calling it as VRF, and some brand it will be calling as VRV. But both are same. Okay, variable refrigerant volume and variable refrigerant flow. Okay, what is the specialty of this VRF system or VRV? All right, just VRF/VRV system. VRV slash or VRF system, and write its full form: variable refrigerant flow. Variable refrigerant flow. Or you can write variable refrigerant volume. Variable refrigerant volume. So just keep it in mind. What is the specialty of this VRV system or VRF system is that there will be only one outdoor. Only one outdoor will be there. There can be many indoor units. From one outdoor, the refrigerant will be flowing through different indoor units. Usually in the split AC and all, there will be one outdoor, one indoor, one outdoor, one indoor, one outdoor, one indoor. In this case, there will be only one big outdoor unit. From that outdoor unit, you can supply the refrigerant to different indoor units. That indoor unit can be different. One can be split, one can be cassette, one can be ductable split. It can change also. But the specialty is that there will be only one outdoor unit. Understood? So if it's a two-story building, for first story, if there is 5 rooms, okay, we can give one outdoor unit for that 5 indoor. The first floor, there are 6 rooms. For that 6 indoor unit, you can give another outdoor. That also is possible. Okay, you can do like that also. Or for the first and second floor, if you need to give one outdoor unit, that is also possible. But according to our design, we can change it. Okay, so here there is a an apartment, not a flat. Vigaland apartments are there. I think it's an 11-story building. I think it's very expensive. Okay, I think one flat I think it's 8 crore it seems. 8 crore. So they are used. I think you can go to YouTube and you can just see that Chittirapalli's flat is there over here. You can see it's in the roadside itself. You can see their Vigaland flat. I think it's 11-story or 10-story building. I don't know. And each flat, I mean, they have given a VRF system only in that flats. Okay. Yeah. Just said about that. Okay. Now one more system is there, chilled water system. Chilled water system. Next system is after VRF we can use chilled water system. Next point, 5th point, chilled water system. Okay. So in chilled water system, the outdoor unit or the condenser will be commonly called it as chiller. Okay, so you have to keep it in mind that there are 2 types of systems. Okay, systems means 2 types of refrigerants. One is direct expansion refrigerant. That was the refrigerant that we are dealing right now in vapor compression cycle. Direct expansion, DX system. Next one system is known as chilled water system. What is the difference between these both systems is that Only one difference. The refrigerant that is passing through indoor and outdoor is different. In chilled water system, the refrigerant is chilled water. That's all. Okay. In DX system, the refrigerant is that what we were discussing, R410A or CFC like that, or HFC. So these two things you have to understand. Two types of refrigerants that we will be studying in the coming classes. One is direct expansion. Normally we will be calling it as DX. DX system and chilled water system. In DX system, we have indoor unit as well as outdoor unit. Correct? Indoor unit will be the evaporator, outdoor unit will be the condenser. Right? Chilled water system also there will be indoor unit and the outdoor unit. Okay? But in this chilled water, the refrigerant is chilled because chilled water system, the refrigerant is chilled water. The outdoor unit will be calling it as chiller. That's all. Okay. In case of condenser, we will be calling it as chiller. That's all. Okay. Both the system there is indoor unit and outdoor unit. In chilled water system, the outdoor unit will be calling it as chiller because the refrigerant that is flowing through that is chilled water. Okay. In chilled water, instead of compressor, we have pump. In DX system, instead of pump, we have compressor. Because mainly the refrigerant will be converted to vapor form. But in the chiller, the chilled water will be liquid form itself. That's why we need pump. Okay. Coming classes, we'll be studying the advantages of this both chilled water system and DX system. Okay, that we can study. So I will just show you what some of the air conditioners. Many air conditioners are we have discussed. You can just go to the Google and you can see it also. That's not a problem. See, this is the window air conditioning system. Initially, we were using it. It seems to be like a window. It's a single system. You can see this. Yeah, it's a window. In initial days, we were using this. Okay. Nowadays, we are not using all these things. Okay. Nowadays, mainly we will be using split type. And not only that, packaged AC is also there. Okay. We are using packaged AC also. So this is the window air conditioner. This will be kept as a window. Okay. Indoor as well as outdoor is combined. Next, we have split AC. This is normally we have seen, right? In our rooms, also in our house, also there are split. This is the indoor unit. This is the outdoor unit. Okay, this is the remote. This is the evaporator side, and this is the condenser side. So you can see here, this is the fan. So now we came to know that this is an air-cooled condenser. Okay. Now this is the packaged air conditioners. Okay, in coming classes we will be knowing more about it. Okay, this is packaged air conditioner. Indoor and outdoor is in a same package. It is combined. So you can see a fan on the top of it, through which air is being ejected out. It is not splitted, it is combined. Through this, you can give directly air or by the help of duct also, you could send the cold conditioned air to the particular room. Okay. And it's variable in normal capacities like 3 ton, 5 ton, 7 ton, 10, 15 like that. You can go like that. Okay. According to different brands, it will be changing. Okay. Instead of 3, it might be 3 will be there. Instead of 5, it will be 5.5 tons. In the case of Daikin, I am saying. If you are choosing Daikin as a brand, I think the package AC is starting from 5.5 only. 5.5 is there. Then 7.8 is there. Okay, 8.5 is there, 11 ton is there, 16 ton is there, okay, 21 ton is there, 26 ton is there, okay, 28 ton is there. It goes like that. Most probably till 28 ton, it will be like that. Packages. Okay. In central cooling plant, uh, this is the most important type of air conditioning system which is adopted when the cooling capacity requires 20 ton or more. In, in such places, we could use centralized air conditioning. Or the centralized air conditioning system is also adopted when the airflow is more than 300 meter cube per minute. Okay, 300 meter cube per minute. Okay. So when there is lot of capacity needed, we could use centralized air conditioners. Okay. The centralized air conditioning system can be either of the direct expansion or chilled water system. Both we can use. I have already said what is direct expansion and what is chilled water system. It is nothing but it is a difference in the refrigerant. That's all. Centralized air conditioner mostly will be using this chilled water system only. Okay. Not only that, we can use DX also. It's not an issue. Okay. Now, for the time being, this is enough. Tomorrow we'll be studying about ventilation. Okay. Tomorrow we'll be studying about ventilation, kitchen hood ventilation. Tomorrow we'll be discussing about kitchen hood, and tomorrow we'll be designing a kitchen hood ventilation, both by Excel sheet as well as by manual also. And I'll be asking you to just design a kitchen hood. And I will show you the AutoCAD drawing also, how to design a kitchen hood, what are the different types of kitchen hood, what are the different types of ventilation. In coming days, we'll be studying initially about the ventilation, different types of ventilation like car parking ventilation, toilet ventilation, kitchen hood ventilation. Okay, all these things are also involved in it. Okay, so today we have just came into the core refrigerant, types of refrigerant, correct? What are the vapor compression cycle? What are the equipments that is involved in this air conditioner, right? What are the different types of refrigerants like DX, chilled water, correct? Then we have discussed about psychometric chart. Then we have discussed about different types of air conditioners, right? So tomorrow onwards, we'll be just focusing on ventilation. Okay. Then each day we'll be discussing about different topics. So, is there any doubt regarding today's topic? Basically, only on today's topic. Is there any doubt? You can just give a chat. And not only that, did everyone got yesterday's recording video through the mail I have sent? I think everyone have received the recorded videos through mail. Okay. For reference, you can just go through it. It's a YouTube link. Is there any doubt in today's topic? Is package AC same as rooftop units? Both are similar, but actually it is not same. Okay. Rooftop units and package AC are not same, but both are similar in characteristics. Rooftop units mainly we'll be keeping it on the rooftop. That's all. Is it someone haven't received recorded session? You could have just intimate me. Okay. If someone didn't get the recorded videos through mail or something like that, you can intimate me through this chat itself, so that I could make sure that I will send the recorded videos to you also. I believe everyone have received it. Psychometric chart software used in real projects? Most probably no. Okay, but still, if you need, if you if some chances arise, you can do it. Then mostly we'll be just going with the app which is already installed made cities. Okay, all around the world, every continent, every country, every state, important cities has been given by the app itself. So that might be enough. Okay, but if someone is saying no, I need this location itself, I want that particular very precise that that properties, then you can just both Google also you can find it out. Not only that, you can go to the psychometric chart and you can find it. Daily to find out the air water properties. Okay. Just understand its basic. Okay, that's why. I'll give you the software also. Okay, just go through it and practice it. Anything else? I haven't seen anyone's face other than Sanu Thomas and Vinu. Why you are keeping your videos off? I don't know. If it's possible, Ashray and Ishray is same or different? No, both are different. Ashray means American society. Ishray is Indian. Okay. This type of compressor is mainly used, mostly used in usually it's scroll type. Okay. Scroll type compressor, SCROL, scroll type compressors are used. When you look the catalog and all, it will be mentioned there. It will be mentioned what type of compressors are used, what is the refrigerant that is used. So everything is given. Indoor unit dimensions, outdoor unit dimensions, uh, and what else? What is the CFM that is flowing through it? What is the capacity? Mostly everything will be written in that particular make or brand. Sometimes the compressors can be different also, but mostly recent type of compressors that we are seeing is scroll type compressors. So if someone asks you about this also, you could say that mainly we are using scroll type compressors. What about screw type? Yeah, screw type is also used. Screw type, reciprocating, everything is being used, but mainly scroll type is being implemented recently. I believe everyone are writing the notes, right? So that's a must. Okay, just write notes. If you can write in your own words or in a point wise also, that is not an issue. That is fine. Okay? But I want you to have a notebook. Each day you'll be taking some notes. You have to write it down. Anything else? Anything else about parents? What about Jacob? Is there any which software is used for HVAC designing? Yeah, AutoCAD. Here we are using AutoCAD. Okay, but for the time being, I will be taking that AutoCAD. I will be showing the final way. Final. No, this is just the basic. Just you need to understand that's all. I mean, Vinu is asking like, do we have classes for types of condensers and expansion valve in detail? No, just need to understand what are the different types. Okay, that would be fine. Basically, it's project oriented. Just need to understand. That's all. You don't want to go so deep into the theory parts and all those things. That is, you need to know what is condenser, what is the use of it, what are the types of it. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, I think there is no much doubts it seems. So can we wind up? Okay. Okay. So thank you, students. Just go through what we have just studied. Yesterday's topic as well as today's topic. Okay. Just have a revision. Just 5 or 10 minutes. Just go through it. Okay. Otherwise, it will be difficult after some days. Okay. So whatever thing that I am taking, just go through. Okay. So thank you so much. Okay. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.